Good morning. Let's stand for a moment, silence and the pledge under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. I'd like to call our meeting to order. I guess we'll begin with the approval of minutes December 14th and 21st. We can do them together or separate. I think everyone was here for both meetings. Is that correct? Anybody absent?
I'll make a motion to approve December 14 and 21st, 2021 minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 4-0. Next, we'll begin with Commissioner reports and comments. Vice President Baker.
Yep, good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome everybody back, and hopefully you had a great start to your new year, and I hope you have a great year the whole way through. And it's just great to be back serving the county and looking forward to what's in store for 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kiefer.
Nothing today.
Thank you. Commissioner Wagner.
Good morning. First of all, I wanted to say that it was a good experience yesterday to be able to go to our recruit training class number 2, fire apparatus operators recruit class, and welcome, I think there was 5 of them, welcome them aboard to the county. We need them. And then I wanted to thank staff and employees for their cooperation with our COVID policies and the things we're doing to help with that situation. That's all I have.
Thank you. For my report, just Kelsey, I see in your room. One thing I want commissioners to consider in our upcoming budget that we maybe review and see if we can provide a COLA to our retirees. I've received several phone calls over the past couple of weeks about it. Just not asking for it to be approved today, but just get us the information to see where we could stand on that as you prepare your budget. And commissioners, last week a little slow getting to us, delayed by the mail, but the Korean War Veterans chapter here, Untitled Chapter, sent us a request for funding to help support their museum and exhibit up at Fort Ritchie alongside the Ritchie Boys Museum. And I think this would be a very good project for us to support and show support to our Korean War veterans. It would also encourage tourism and help us support the veterans for who supported us. So it would be my suggestion that if we could find $10,000 to add to their cause to donate to that, the Korean War Chapter's museum exhibit at Fort Ritchie, I'd like to get permission, your consent to do that. Now, John, I think you found a funding source.
Kelsey and I talked about this yesterday, but it is for a museum, and it is related to religion, so I think we can hotel rental tax fund.
If you found a funding source, why don't you just see if we can get a vote on
We
it?
get it, commissioners, there'd be a motion to approve that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a first and second. A motion to read that we support the Antietam chapter, the museum up at Fort Ritchie with $10,000 from the Hotel Motel Fund. First and second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. I know the Korean War veterans are watching. Some of them couldn't be here today because of the weather or just COVID precautions. Commander 20, we appreciate you and all your service. Thank you very much. Next, we'll continue on to staff comments. Kirk, anything legal?
Nothing this morning.
Krista?
No, sir.
County Administrator?
I don't have anything particular. I know Tom Brown, I was going to,
Okay.
time to Tom Brown, so.
Okay, is Tom in the building?
He should be watching.
Okay, Tom, you may come on in. Commissioner, thank you for supporting the Korean War veterans. I know they're deeply appreciated of our support.
How much money are they trying to raise, you know?
Well, initially 20,000, but they'll need more than that. This will be a good start for them.
Here comes a famous.
Good morning, Mr. Brown.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Please introduce yourself and begin.
I apologize that apparently the volume for the meeting out in the lobby was turned down, so we're going to work on trying to get that turned back up so that those waiting in the lobby know when it's their turn.
That's okay. Thank you.
Tom Brown, Emergency Manager for Washington County. I was asked to provide an update to you today on the county's COVID metrics and some actions the county staff are currently taking. Washington County's current positivity rate as of yesterday was 31.9%. So to put this into some perspective, on June the 10th, on 2021, the county's positivity rate was 1.29%. And since December 4th of 2021, 57 Washington County residents have lost their lives to this virus. To clarify some questions that we've seen recently about the positivity rate and what we're saying is for Washington County, there are a lot of out-of-state and tri-state area people getting tested out on Creighton Boulevard. And there's a question as to whether or not some of those positive test results get mixed in with Washington County's. The 31.9% positivity rate is the Washington County rate only. So when a person gets tested, their test results go back to their county in which they reside. Okay, so the 31.9% is our county positivity rate. Meredith reports that as of yesterday, their total census was 260 patients, with 77 of those hospitalized for COVID. 53 of those 77 are unvaccinated. 24 patients are in ICU, with 8 being hospitalized for COVID, and 21 patients on a ventilator, with 6 being hospitalized for COVID. So there is no doubt that we are in the middle of the largest surge that we have seen since the start of this pandemic.
Tom, back to your numbers.
Yes, sir.
You said 53 of how many?
53 of those 77.
Okay. Or were unvaccinated?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a breakdown for ventilator and ICU?
Yes, sir. Out of the 77, 24 are in ICU, or I'm sorry, 8 are in ICU that are hospitalized. And
No, I meant vaccinated or unvaccinated.
I don't have that with me, but I can provide that to you after the meeting if you'd like. Yesterday, as the governor appointed emergency manager for Washington County, I attended a weekly virtual meeting with the Maryland Department of Emergency Management, Maryland Department of Health, and other appointed emergency managers from across the state to discuss the current hospital situation. Currently, there are over 3,200 patients in hospitals across the state. The governor last week issued a 30-day state emergency declaration in an effort to further assist hospitals, as projections show over the coming weeks, hospitalizations could climb as high as 5,000, which will put significant pressure on an already exhausted and strained healthcare and first responder system. As of Monday, January the 10th, the Emergency Operations Center activation level was raised to partial. This was done to target specific areas which need addressed. Some of those areas include consistent, accurate, and timely information to the public. In an effort to address that issue, the reestablishment of the Joint Information Center comprised of the Washington County Health Department, Meredith Medical Center, and Washington County Government Public Relations Departments was ordered. Incidentally, their first briefing was released yesterday to the public. Communication and coordination with municipalities within Washington County. The liaison officer position was ordered, and beginning tomorrow, we will start weekly calls with the municipalities in an effort to provide them with the information they can use to make informed operating and safety decisions. Obtaining needed resources for Meredith and local health department. The logistics officer position was also ordered as the communication and coordination link to make formal resource requests to the state. And ensuring fire, EMS, and law enforcement services. We made contact with fire and EMS emergency support function and made suggestions that they monitor the effects of COVID infections on individual companies, review plans, identify gaps, and identify any unmet needs. In addition to the partial activation of the Emergency Operations Center, Washington County staff on Monday began to work a hybrid schedule in an effort to decrease the number of staff who are together in departments. Those departments which cannot work from a remote location on a rotational basis have put additional safety measures in place. A review of this working process will occur in 30 days with a determination to be made at that time whether to continue the process or make changes based on current metrics and effectiveness. In addition to that working schedule change, staff have also begun to move all meetings to a virtual platform where possible. Following recommendations from the CDC, which advises that any jurisdiction with a positivity rate over 10% is considered a high transmission area, staff and citizens continue to be strongly encouraged to wear a mask when social distancing is not possible, whether vaccinated or not, socially distance, wash hands frequently, and get vaccinated or receive a booster when eligible. And last part of the update, modifications have been made to the Board of County Commissioner meetings, which include limiting citizen comments to 3 per meeting, with a request to appear being required to be submitted to the county clerk prior to the meeting, and limiting staff who are making presentations to 1 in the room at a time. So that concludes my update. If you have questions or there's any discussion, I'm happy to try to answer those for you.
Commissioners, any questions? If not,
Thank you,
Mr.
Tom.
Brown. No further staff comments? John, anybody? Okay. Krista, citizens participation, was there anybody signed up?
No.
Would you
and-
explain?
Yes. I just want to encourage all citizens, as Tom Brown just shared, you're required to submit a request to participate in the county commissioners meeting. You can submit that request to khart@washco-md.net, or you can call me direct at 240-313-2204, and you are required to do so with at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting so we can register you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
See you, Tom, thanks.
Yeah, next, Faces of Farming, Susan Grimes. Susan, good morning.
Morning.
Introduce yourself and the matter.
Good morning. Susan Grimes, Director of the Department of Business Development, and today I'm here to present to you 2 more of our agricultural-focused videos. The videos are for a marketing campaign that is going to showcase 2 local Washington County farms every month for 1 year. The Faces of Farming marketing videos will be showcased on the county's website, as well as Facebook and other social media platforms, and will target a new industry and highlight a local farmer from that agricultural industry each month. The agricultural business here in Washington County represents the backbone of the county's landscape, and with over 900 operating family farms and 153 million plus in market value of products sold, agriculture is the largest economic driver in Washington County. So the Faces of Farming marketing campaign will aim to educate residents in Washington County, along with the surrounding states and counties, about the economic impact of the ag industry itself. Additionally, these videos will be used for agricultural education to numerous streams around Washington County, such as 4-H, FFA, the Future Farmers of America meetings, the Ag Expo and Fair, and they will be available on our Ag app. With that, so today I'm presenting 2 more videos to you. Star Equestrian Center from Hagerstown and the Peaceable Pastures from Fair Play.
Thank you.
I think it's unique, because we have we are a full-service horse operation barn. We take care of about 25 horses, every day. That's a whole endeavor in itself. PA and West Virginia, we offer riding lessons for folks with and without disabilities in our therapeutic lesson program and our recreational riding lesson program. Something that makes us unique, I think, is our being able to tailor to each individual person's needs, their goals, being able to translate what they learn here with our horses into day-to-day life skills and activities, and just working with a really diverse population and community.
Washington County has a good support network for farming industry and the ag community. I mean, people, it looks tough. I mean, I'll give you an example. Bedding, we use a packaged bedding that comes prepackaged. And when I went to get some 2 weeks ago, they told me the price had jumped $2 a bag, which is very, very significant. And that's the thing that we're seeing is grain and all the accessories that go along with ag industry are going up at a rate that outpaces the revenue that you'll gain from it. It's always growth. There's always room for growth as long as there's land. I mean, once they start developing all the land, that takes away from the ag industry.
Thank you very much.
Hey, a question for you.
Yes.
If someone wanted to be on Faces of Farming, who would they contact or how?
They can reach out to our office, and specifically, this is a project that is going through Leslie Hart's department with agriculture, so, but generally, they can reach out to the Department of Business Development, and any one of us can get them part of that marketing.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next on the agenda, I believe you're up next on the Maryland commercial property. So
Yes. So I'm here to present to you the Maryland Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy Program, which is also known as Maryland CPACE. Again, Susan Grimes, Director of Business Development, and today I'm just asking for a consensus to move forward with the public hearing to adopt this Clean Energy Loan Program ordinance. The Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy, CPACE, is a tool that can finance energy efficiency and renewable energy improvements on commercial property. Like other project financing, CPACE uses borrowed capital to pay for the upfront costs associated with energy efficiency or renewable energy improvements. Unlike other project financing, the borrowed capital is then repaid over time via a voluntary tax assessment. The Maryland PACE program has been designed to ease the burden of CPACE administration for counties that want to offer this financing to their building owners. We currently have one business located in Washington County actively seeking to utilize the program, and others have expressed interest. To date, there are 16 counties within the state of Maryland who have adopted this program. Maryland passed a policy enabling the CPACE program in 2014. Since property taxes are collected at the county and city level, the law requires that local ordinances also be passed in order to take advantage of the CPACE financing. The Maryland PACE program allows counties in Maryland to enter into a partnership with a state agency known as the Maryland Clean Energy Center and join a statewide standard CPACE program at no cost. The Maryland PACE program works with the county to pass their ordinance, intake and approve CPACE projects, train local contractors and capital providers, and establish procedures to place CPACE surcharges and facilitate collections and remit payment to capital providers. The Maryland CPACE program administers county programs at no cost to the county. Maryland Clean Energy Center works with the local tax collectors to accommodate the Maryland PACE on the tax bill and receives revenue through closing and servicing fees for CPACE projects. A county is responsible for collecting the Maryland PACE assessments, not guaranteeing their collection. The county must also ensure that the Maryland PACE assessments are separately accounted for and cannot be utilized for any other purposes. If a building owner is deficient or delinquent on their Maryland PACE assessment, the county is not responsible to cover the shortfall. The county only remits payments to the program's servicing agent that are actually paid by the building owners and are not liable for any deficiency or delinquency. Any delinquent CPACE surcharge is collected by the county in the same manner as a real property taxes, pursuant to the enabling CPACE legislation within Maryland. Kirk and I have worked on this together and have met with the folks who will help us manage this program and administer it. And I mean, the option is to not move forward with the ordinance, but we do have a few requests coming in to utilize the program.
This doesn't put any, we're not mandating or dictating to any business what they have to do and what they don't have to do, correct?
No, not at all. No, they will be, they will have the ability to use it or not. I mean, it's available to them if they want to finance this way.
And Susan, it doesn't look like there's a county financial responsibility at all, except for our staff actually doing the accounting, record keeping, remitting the payments. Would that be the treasurer's office, I assume?
In conjunction with our office, yeah. We would administer it much like we administer the enterprise zone tax credits and those sorts of things. We would help the business then get in touch with CPACE, who will then deal directly with the treasurer's office.
Okay.
Yeah.
And has the treasurer expressed he has the staff, the computer equipment, whatever
We
might
have
be
talked to him.
required? He's supportive?
I mean, he pretty much said if this is something the commissioners want to move forward with, we'll make it work here.
Commissioners, consensus to move forward?
Yes, so specifically what we're asking today is for a consensus to take the proposed ordinance to public hearing. After the public hearing, then if the commissioners wanted to adopt the ordinance, it would be appropriate at that time, and that would be the actual approval of the program.
Okay, today's just a consensus to move forward to a public hearing.
One last question, sort of on back of Wayne's. There's no return for admin fees to us?
No.
Okay.
There's no fees to the county.
Consensus, move forward as Commissioner Downey suggested. I see 4 nods. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Antietam Broadband. Thank you, Susan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning.
Please introduce yourself and the matter.
Gotcha, yes, sir. Hi, my name is Kurt Pendleton. I'm the Vice President of Strategy for Antietam Broadband. And President Klein, Vice President Baker, Commissioner Kiefer, Commissioner Wagner, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come before you to discuss a partnership that we think is unique and it will benefit Washington County residents. In 2021, the American Rescue Plan Act was created and identified sources that went to the state level in Maryland and went to the county level in Washington County. And those funds are available to be able to expand broadband service into unserved or underserved areas. And that's what we're here today to talk about. We have put together a proposal that we are preparing for Washington County and for the state of Maryland. Next slide, please. As you can see in our presentation, the tan area represents where Antietam Broadband's facilities have been constructed over the 55 years that we have operated in the county. Obviously, there are some areas within that tan area that don't have information, so this is just for general purposes. Next slide, please. I'm sure a lot are familiar with us, but for those that may not have the detailed level, we are locally operated. We have a 24/7, 365 business operation. We've been in the county for 55 years. We have over 110 employees, and we have been adding employees here locally, even during the pandemic. We currently serve with our infrastructure 65,000 plus business and resident locations. We have 1,400 miles of fiber and hybrid fiber coax system that spreads throughout the county. In the last 10 years, we've invested more than $70 million in capital investment. And that is allowing us to basically provide bandwidth like 1 gigabit service down and 40 up, or in the case of our flight product where we have a 1 gigabit down and 1 gigabit up service. We were one of the first places in Maryland to provide a gigabit service, and it was all done privately funded. The other piece, in the last 3 years, we have spent, as a result of some things going with the pandemic and what we've done with our infrastructure, we spent well over $35 million in investing into our facilities. Again, we are a community, we are a business that gives back to the community. I think you've probably seen that. Annually we spend in excess of $750,000 in monetary and in-kind donations. So we are a business that does give back. Next slide, please. So again, why are we here? We have a unique opportunity that the federal government has provided to source funds that allow us to go into areas in the community that, quite honestly, we would never be able to build with a normal payback model that we use as far as return on investment. High-speed internet, I think everybody has seen during the pandemic that it breaks down the barriers of distance and time, allowing residents of rural areas to participate in economic and civic life far beyond their geographic region. Again, during this pandemic, we saw unprecedented use and growth in our products, where normally a bandwidth usage we would see in a year, we saw in a matter of 60 days. So again, we've continued to try to make sure that those things, whether it's telehealth, telecommuting, remote learning, we had a great partnership with WCPS where we added over 1,000 new students into our EduNet program. And we were able to add, quite honestly, in a matter of about 45 days, 800 new families to be able to connect to that program. And that's a discount program based on economic levels. Again, we talked about healthcare, telemedicine. We also, when some of the programs came about at the federal level with the emergency broadband benefit, which is now called the Affordable Connectivity Program, to all eligible applicants, we participated in that program and made that available, and that's based on federal guidelines as far as income level, and that gives folks a discount on broadband services. Next slide, please. So a summary of what we're asking for today is the total project cost is $5,813,025. The way the funding works is that the state, based on the number of homes per mile, and we fall in a density level at 11.4 homes per mile, the state will cover 80% of that project cost. So the state's contribution will be $4,650,420. We're asking the county to come up with the other 20%, which is $1,162,605. This will go out to 698 homes today that are unserved or underserved in the areas relative to what the FCC is calling broadband and the speeds that are needed. Based on an average of 2.5 families, 2.5 individuals per household, we're looking at just under 800 folks that will be connected to this. What we're building is a fiber to the premise platform that'll have 1 gig capability, and will be expandable to 10 gigs if we should need that in the future. So what we're doing is building a future-proof type product as outlined by what the FCC terms. The construction time frame based on the approval at the state level and with your approval at the county level would start as early as the spring of 2022. We would have, we've got this broken down into 4 phases, and the first 2 phases would be completed hopefully in late 22, early 23. Again, that's dependent upon the schedule from the state when they come back with the approval, and hopefully with your approval today. Next slide. What I wanted to show you was that when we looked at this, we have walked out probably 100 miles to get to these 61 miles that we're proposing to build. As you can see, we have phase 1 that's up in the Indian Springs area. It's 123 locations that are new to our footprint. Phase 2 goes up into the Cascade and to the Leitersburg Extension area. That's 347 new locations. Phase 3 goes down around Sharpsburg and kind of around the battlefield area, and that's 105 locations. And Phase 4 is 123 locations down in the Keedysville area. So this is kind of our phase work. We looked at this, and again, how we came up with this is we looked at where our end lines of our facilities are and how we could go out into the community and be good stewards of the money that we're asking for. Next slide, please. What I wanted to show you, when you look at the previous slide, you look at that and say, well, it's a cluster, it's a pretty tight cluster, why wouldn't you have built this? This gives you a little better illustration on the nature and the vastness of the build in this. And so it is spread out throughout the 4 different phases. And, we have tried to maximize the number of residents that we can connect with this money. We don't know whether there'll be another opportunity or not. So we took an exhaustive amount of time to be able to go through and prepare this, and that's why we're here in front of you today. Next slide. What you're seeing today is there's your zip codes. When you initially look at this from a zip code standpoint, you can see Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, and Phase 4. Next slide, please. The other part of this is we looked at this and we looked at, the percentage of population and how that breaks out by zip code. The other part is when we provide this at the state level, one of the things that they ask for is it to be broken down into census tracts. So there are 26 census tracts and there are 144 census blocks. So that's the more narrow area of the bill. Next slide, please. Again, I think one of the exciting things that I know has happened because of what you all do here is that, when you look at the census and you look at the growth, Washington County is growing. And where are they growing? They're growing, out in the more rural areas where they feel that they get a greater value for their dollar when they're buying and they're moving into this community. And so, that's exciting to see that our county's growing. You look to the west, you look at Garrett, you look at Allegheny, you can see that they're losing population in that based on the census tract. Next slide, please. One of the things, just looking economically, and I know this is information that you all know much better than I do, but one of the things, that we looked at, and I think that is exciting about the funds and exciting about some of the programs we have, as we talked about our EduNet program. If you're a WCPS family, you have an opportunity to potentially, sign on to that, and there's a discount opportunity. And again, we have participated from day one with the emergency broadband benefit, which is now called the Affordable Connectivity Program. And what that provides is a $30 subsidy to families that qualify at the federal level on that criteria. It's not something that we make up. And those $30 will go on to any program they select. So whatever level of broadband service they select, it's not for video, it's not for phone, it's for broadband service. And that gives a discount. It's something that they apply for. If they're awarded, that status, then it's something that we work with the federal government with to be able to take that money and apply it to their account. Again, next slide. This goes through, shows you housing, shows you social, and again, just looking at educational attainment. I think we all know that some of our students have been challenged with whether it's, in school or out of school or some type of hybrid model. I've had a lot of conversations with Dr. Michael, and their team about, how we can best support that. Next slide, please. This again is just demographics of the zip code data and shows you that when they talk about population density, that it meets the rural definition that it's very low density level. Next slide. So again, in summary, what we're asking for is that the way this partnership would work is that the state again would provide 80%, the county would provide the 20%, but to start this, Antietam would absorb any cost from day one on any of those bills. So we would not be reimbursed until we construct the infrastructure that's needed to go out into this area. So we would, in essence, be funding this project going through and then be reimbursed as we hit certain milestones with the state and with the county. Again, this area meets the requirements of the Connect Maryland, fiscal year 2022 infrastructure grant. Again, it meets the requirement of the funding categories of the federal dollars allocated to the county. Broadband was one of the 5 categories that the funds can be used for. This is a designated area as rural, and again, we're building a high-speed, future-proof option that is an all-fiber to the premise location. This area, how are we doing this? One of the things I talked about earlier is that we've spent, in excess of $70 million in a decade. One of the reasons why this cost, quite honestly, is $5.8 million is the fact that we continue to push out to points as far as we can go with that return on investment. And it's something, quite honestly, that we've done, and it's something it's the reason why that we have 1,400 plus miles of facilities out there. It's something we work with following what the county's doing as far as its growth plans, whether it's business or whether it's residential. Again, the system will deliver a 1 gig plus to start, but we have capabilities very quickly to turn that up to 2.5 and to go to 10 gig. So we're not building a network that's going to be obsolete in a matter of years. We're building a network basically that will scale to whatever need comes, and it will match things that we've done in the rest of the part of the county. We're going to continue to invest. So one of the things that you may look at, is just that the state and the county are investing. But one of the things we're going to do is continue to invest in this part, very much like we've done with our other 1,400 miles of facilities. We have utility costs, we have maintenance costs, we have upgrade costs that we will do, in the future, and it's something that, quite honestly, we will absorb these 61 miles into our network, and we will maintain it. We'll status monitor it. We'll install, any damage that occurs because of weather or anything else that may occur. Again, all those operational costs going forward, for the first year, for 5 years, for 10 years, whether we get one customer or whether we get 698 customers, Antietam's going to absorb.
I had a couple brief questions or comments.
Sure.
It looks like you have covered a good part of the county outlying districts. I know during the remote learning process, I got some calls, why can't you have internet out here? Well, it's hard for me to make that happen, and here's a sort of an opportunity to do something.
Yes.
But I guess the questions are, A, this would qualify under ARP funding, obviously, and that's meant for infrastructure, but I do have a couple concerns.
Okay.
Is because you got to maintain this if it happens, that's going to add expense to Antietam? Does that drive do you foresee that driving the?
No, I don't. I understand what you're saying. No, we have not taken a rate increase on any broadband service that we've operated for a substantial number of years, and I don't have it in front of me, but I would say it's in excess of 5 years. So
right.
Again, we removed data caps, which was something based on the usage that folks were concerned about. We removed those in the beginning of the pandemic, and we have not put those back, and we will not put those back. So whatever your charge is for broadband service, that charge is the amount. That's it. So it's an unlimited. It's very different than some of the cell companies where you're throttled at a certain amount of usage, that type of thing. We don't do that.
Right. And okay, that's all I had for right now.
Brian, I have a question, kind of along the lines of Commissioner Wagner's comments. During the start of COVID, when schools first went remote, I think we all received quite a few calls from parents about just access to the internet. And I'm looking at your map of your current coverage now, the grade-in map, and then I'm looking at your 4-phase plan, and it looks like you're filling those gaps pretty well. But large part of the western part of the county, Hancock, is cut off, and I realize the town has a franchise agreement, I believe, with Comcast. But when you go west past the town, they don't have access to that same internet service or a good, reliable internet service other than satellite, which is quite expensive. I like the fact that we are meeting those needs when we don't really have opportunities to do that all too often. It's not really in the purview of government even. But when we have an opportunity like this to take advantage of these grants, I think it's great that we're filling in the gaps through a large part of Washington County. But is it on Antietam's prospects in any way to finish serving the rest of Washington County? And I understand in a municipality where there's a franchise agreement, you know, that's different. But there's a big part of Hancock that's not being served. I'm concerned about that.
No, absolutely. You know, our intent, you know, would be to build, you know, I mean, obviously, we're a business, and we thrive if we have connections and connection opportunities, and we realize there are choices for customers out there. So to answer one part of that, we are not able to go, where there's an existing service that meets what the minimum threshold is, which is 25.3 that the FCC's targeted. We are not able to go in and ask for funding to provide a better service than what that may be. So if there's a provider, in the case what you're speaking about, Commissioner Kiefer, Comcast provides a service that exceeds that 25.3 threshold. So anything in and around their service area, and that's one of the reasons why it took us as long as it did to come before you, is that we probably walked 100 miles worth of territory out to be able to narrow that down to 61 miles. We literally had folks walking driveways, we were walking pole lines, we were determining whether, reaching out to customers, whether or not who they had as a service provider, what level of service they did, so that we could put this package in front of you for $698. And our intent would be, and would hope to be, is that as we, are able to extend these 61 miles, that will give us an opportunity to potentially look at others. Should there be other grants, or should the economics be able to work for us to build those areas? That would be our intent.
So does the grant only allow you to do, is it 61 miles?
Yes.
Is that all that's available to Antietam? Could you apply for more funding and we kick in a little extra to help with that as well? Like, and when I talk about Hancock, there's the incorporated municipality.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But there's also the unincorporated portion of Hancock that stretches all the way to the Allegheny County line, Sidling Hill Mountain, in that area.
Right.
Those folks, those were the folks that called me because they don't have access to Comcast.
Well, one of the things we were able to do is that when we worked with the school system with the EduNet program, we worked directly. They would provide a list to us of folks that were interested. The first thing we did, back in late 2020 was to be able to determine what was within our footprint to serve, or what was in a very, close proximity that we could do a small extension or something to be able to provide service. So we looked at that list as well. We get calls as well, and we have what we call a construction file. And that file allows us to go and look and see, where are their homes, where have we gotten interest, those type of things. We did that with our most recent project, Ketzel Road, that we work with the state on, that we're building. It's 25-home area, in the community that did not have broadband, and we were able to work with the state to be able to do that. In fact, that project's in process, and we're waiting on some attachment ability from the utilities to be able to build. But we're hopeful that that project will be finished and those 25 homes will be connected in early spring. But our hope would be that we build these 61 miles, and if there's another opportunity for us to go and expand and relook, we would. What we were trying to do in this first go-around was to be good stewards of the money, not come in with something unrealistic that we could not get awarded. The state has, the funds are selected from $1 million to $10 million. That's, you can't ask for more than $10 million.
Is that per county?
Well, that's their,
provider?
That's their, no, well, I don't know that if it's provider, but what the state on their application says that they will fund anywhere from a $1 million to a $10 million project. And when we put.
And I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay.
Is there an opportunity for Antietam Cable to apply for more money? The county used more of our pandemic relief money to help supplement this. It looks like if you can go up to $10 million from the state of Maryland, there's room to receive more grant funding. You're applying for $4.6 million. I just don't know if I hope there's not, quite honestly, another opportunity for this kind of money in borrowing from the federal government. But while we have it, now seems like the opportunity to supply all of Washington County.
Right. The application for the state is due, the end of this week. So I don't know whether they will allow, they're closing the window based on their criteria. So I don't know whether they will reopen that window and allow us a second opportunity. Obviously, if we have an opportunity to be able to do that and look at more residents, we clearly will. Again, in that, right now, the density level that we're providing to averages out to be about 11.4 homes per mile. In some of the areas, it's substantially less, it's 7. So the way the state funding works is that they will contribute 70%, 80%, or 90%. The 90% is anything 8 homes or less per mile, which is, obviously substantially rural. 80% falls in a category from 9 to 15 homes per mile, which is where we fall in our project that we're asking for. And then the 70% would be anything greater than 15 homes per mile. So their contribution would only be 70% at that time, and then the sources would have to come from somewhere else. So what we've looked at, in this package was to go out, and again, it's very much like when you look at water and sewer or some entity, like you look at your endpoints, where can you build, how many homes can you build, what's the cost to do that, and we've just tried to be, and get this in so we don't miss the window. Try to make as large an area. When we started this, we were in the 300 or 400 home area. And we continued to walk, we continued to look, we continued to basically contact, and look, make sure that we didn't cross over another provider or something that would be impactful and would negate our ability to get funds. But we would welcome the opportunity, but again, we don't want to miss this first, roughly $6 million opportunity with the state and with you in the county level.
Commissioners, any other questions?
No, it's, I guess it's covered pretty well, except, some of the other concerns we just heard. And I know it's going to make a lot of people happy to be able to have internet. And I guess I do have one question. If you're asking for 1.1 or whatever it is from us in the state, Antietam's stake in the game is what?
Well, what I would like to say to you is Antietam's stake in the game has been the 70 million, in excess of 70 million, another 14 or 15 million that we're going to spend in 2022. We're going to fund the actual build of this and then be reimbursed. So, we're not getting any interest on any money or anything else. We're having to outlay those funds from a corporate entity standpoint. And again, anything after this is handed back to us operationally, we're going to absorb those operating costs into our business model, for the first year and then for the foreseeable 25 or 50 years in that situation. So we really feel like if we don't do what we've done over the past 10 years, then the 1,400 miles isn't 1,400 miles, it's 1,200 miles, it's something substantially less, and the cost to build this type of project would have been substantially more than $6 million.
Commissioners, any other questions?
Then there's no rate increase on the horizon because of increased people power.
No, there's not a rate increase. Now, on the video side, obviously you understand that on the video side of things, our margin on video is very, very thin, and that's the cost of ESPN, and those costs get passed on to us, and unfortunately, we have to pass those on.
Commissioners, thoughts, comments, motion to approve?
I would motion to approve just for the simple fact that it's going to give over 1,700 people internet service that never had it before.
Is there a second?
I'll second because this is good for a large part of Washington County. I'll just reiterate, disappointed that even when a map of Washington County was shown, not all of Washington County was shown.
And even after this is approved, you still have the ability to apply for some more money to even expand?
We would hope to, yes, sir. We would work with the State Director of Broadband, that office, and there may be smaller grants that are available that would, be still open for us to apply. And obviously, Commissioner Kiefer, we welcome the opportunity to work with you. If you have addresses or locations folks that you know that are interested in service or areas that we can look at, we'll gladly go look at
If
it.
you would be willing to go for a drive one day.
Absolutely.
I'd be happy to show you parts of rural Washington County that
Good idea.
won't be covered by this.
Absolutely.
Commissioners, I have a first, second on the floor. Hearing no more discussion. Yes.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Next, Mr. Hobbs, construction bid award. Thank you,
Put
sir.
anything down or?
Oh, we'll take care of it.
What's next? What's next?
Thank you, Krista.
You're welcome, sir.
I got to stretch.
Mr. Hobbs.
Scott, as soon as Wayne returns, we'll start. Mr. Hobbs, welcome. Please introduce yourself in the matter.
Yes, good morning, Scott Hobbs, Director of Engineering. I'm here to recommend the board award the bid for the Oak Ridge Drive Site Distance Improvement Contract to the lowest responsible bidder, First Fruits Excavating of Ridgely, West Virginia, in the amount of $110,931. The project was advertised in the Herald Mail, on the county's website, and on email and Marketplace. 8 bids were received on Wednesday, December 1st, and is listed below. The bids have been evaluated, and the low bid is in order. The engineer's estimate is $115,000. The project involves clearing vegetation, grading, and shoulder work to improve the line of sight at the intersection of Oak Ridge Drive and Halfway Boulevard Extended. Project is a 90 consecutive day calendar contract with an anticipated notice proceed in February of 2022 and a completion in May of 2022. Bid documents include liquidated damages in the amount of $100 per calendar day for work beyond the completion date. The contractor is required to maintain 1 lane of traffic during working hours and 2 lanes of traffic during non-working hours. Road signs will be posted while the project is under construction. The project will utilize available funds from the Pavement Maintenance Program, RDI 024, and the Capital Improvement Plan. And total expenses are estimated on $130,931, including the bid award, $15,000 for right-of-way utilities, inspection testing, and $5,000 for construction contingency. Any questions?
Commissioners, thoughts, comments?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
4-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up will be Dave Mason. Thank you, Scott.
David.
Mr. Mason, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Please introduce yourself in the matter.
Dave Mason, Deputy Director, in charge of solid waste. Here this morning for a recommended motion to authorize by resolution The Department of Solid Waste to purchase one used D5 Caterpillar dozer from Carter Machinery in the amount of $500,500 using Sourcewell, which was formerly the NJPA, and also to approve the budget transfer from capital reserves to the controllable asset account. We had a similar dozer. It was a John Deere 850C that we had some issues with the tracks, and repairing it is more than it's worth on trade-in. So we reached out to a couple dealers, and this was the best option we've had to replace it. It's not a main piece of equipment, but it does get used every day for an hour or two, clean up the stockpile, doing some sod soap work, very smaller activities.
I don't ever remember buying used. Did we buy used a lot?
No, but given how much this one gets used, it just makes sense to get a used dozer versus spending 5 times the amount for a new one.
Right. How many hours on this one?
This one only has about 4,000 hours.
Diesel?
Yes. Yeah.
You answered my question on how much a new one. You said approximately $500,000.
Yeah, roughly.
And the other question I have, additional discount, 85,000?
Yeah.
Is that a trade-in or?
No, that's just through the Sourcewell. We get really good discounts through the Sourcewell contracts. They're bid and negotiated before we even touch them. So.
Were we able, oh, never mind. Go ahead, Terry.
No, maybe I don't understand. I see
Well, like normally.
Sourcewell discount 20%, then you have
Right.
another additional discount of 85,000.
Right. Yeah, we're not trading anything in on it. That's just what they've.
I'm just curious
quoted
of what
us.
the $85,000 discount is.
I don't know if they explained it to me,
That's all right.
but it was Sourcewell's 20% plus there was extra money that they gave us a discount for.
Thank you.
I know, I see a warranty there, 12-month, 1,000-hour powertrain hydraulic. Do we have an opportunity to purchase a more warranty?
Most dozers, whether it's Cat, John Deere, whatever, come with a 3-year warranty, and you really can't really buy into it. So what they're giving us now is probably what we.
So you can't purchase, it seems like used, you'd want to try to take it out of because it's enormously expensive to fix them.
Right.
But anyway, it's just a question.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to buying something that's used if it's less expensive, but still has value to us. Has our mechanics had an opportunity or someone in the counties and to look at this equipment in person, just to do an inspection,
Yes, we went down to Myersville. I took a mechanic and an operator with me. So I had the mechanic look it over, had the operator jump on it, and he used it, moved some dirt around at their shop down in Myersville,
and they're happy with it?
and they're happy with it, yes.
Okay.
Commissioners, thoughts, comments?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
You're authorizing the resolution, is that what we're doing? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, Rick Curry, if you're listening, come on in, Rick. Good morning, sir. Please introduce yourself and the matter.
Morning, Rick Curry, Director of Purchasing. First one before you is Intergovernmental Cooperative Purchase, INTG 22-0076, cabling and software. Move to authorize by resolution to approve the purchase of installation and camera door access control system and all related hardware from Skyline Technology Solutions of Glen Burnie, Maryland, at a contract unit price totaling $70,698.08, based on a contract ordered by Carroll County Government. You can see the contract listed. And this is necessary for the 80 West Baltimore 80 West Street Annex move to Northern Avenue. The Code of Public Laws does allow this board to participate in contracts that are awarded by another jurisdiction. The cost savings would be that we would not have to go through the bidding process to get this pricing. And you can also see the Skyline Technology Solutions quote attached to the ARF. Are there any questions? I might not be able to answer, but
These cameras are going to go up at our new facility out on Northern Avenue.
yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a first and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you, Rick. Rick, I believe you're up next
Yes, sir.
again.
This subject here is intergovernmental cooperative purchase, INTG 22-0077, network infrastructure and cabling for Northern Avenue. Move to authorize a resolution, the approval for the purchase and installation of network infrastructure and cabling and all related hardware from High Performance Cable Incorporated of Hagerstown, Maryland, at a contract unit price totaling $136,000 based on a contract awarded by the Washington County Public Schools. This is also necessary for the move from the 80 West Annex to the Northern Avenue location. Again, the Code of Public Laws does allow for this board to participate in contracts awarded by another jurisdiction. The savings would be because we would not have to go through the bidding process and doing the evaluation, writing a scope of work for the project, and funding is available for this project. And you can also see the quote attached from High Performance Cabling Corporation for this project.
Commissioners, questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
Have a first, there a second?
Second.
First and second, any further discussion?
Just a question, this is all, because it's related to our relocation of 80 West Baltimore Street. This is something that, at some point in the future, we hope to be reimbursed for through the state, or the stadium authority, one of the two?
From their understanding, yes.
Yeah, we've included all this information in the documents we submitted to the state.
Okay, that's part of that total. Good.
Okay, good question, thanks for the clarity. Have a first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 4-0, thank you. And I believe you're back here again.
This subject is intergovernmental cooperative purchase, INTG 22-0078 for salt storage facility of Highway Department of Central Location. Move to authorize a resolution of Highway Department to purchase for the installation of a salt storage facility at 601 Northern Avenue from Greystone Construction Company of Shakopee, Minnesota, for a total sum of $251,455 and utilizing another jurisdiction's contract that was awarded by Sourcewell to Greystone Construction. The Highway Department is requesting storage for the storage facility, which has been in need for some time because of the fact that the salt does get contaminated from the elements of the weather, and it's, once the salt is brought in, every year at the end of the season, that salt has to be hauled out to the various locations, which is more costly than having this salt dome in place. And the Code of Public Laws does allow for the board to participate in this contract. And the savings would be that, as I stated before in the others, we would not have to go through the bidding process of putting together a formal solicitation and going through the evaluation process. I myself has been here for some time, and I know that this salt dome has been in dire need, so I would hope the board would approve this procurement.
I saw Zane is out there, he's out in the hallway, if you have any specific questions about that, we can bring him in if you have any questions.
Commissioners, thoughts, comments? Hearing none, motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have first and second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 4-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, the policy revision has been moved, will be removed. It will be discussed at a later date. And I'd like now to entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Thank you. We can go off the air.